Hi there. Well, in today's video I'm going to show you how to make this, which is a full-size replica of one of the types of postbox that we have here in the UK. Now you might be asking, why would anybody want to make a replica of a postbox? Well, the first one I made of these was for a primary school where I used to work, and they bring it out on the run up to Christmas each year, so the children can post letters to their friends and to staff, and they find it very handy. The second one I made was for a children's centre which was attached to the school, and they use it for when they have surveys and questionnaires that they want filling in. People can post the questionnaires and surveys into the postbox when they've completed them. And the third one I made was for my niece's wedding. Usually at a wedding they have a table at the reception where people can come and put presents and cards, so the postbox was left on that table and people could post cards when they came to the reception. This one I've made for the Derwent Valley Light Railway, hence DVLR. That's a small heritage railway at Merton, at the Farming Museum at Merton Park, just off the A64 near York. It's where I volunteer on a weekend, and that's I've made this one for them, which will probably go on the station there. Now it's made mostly out of MDF, 12mm MDF, with some softwood framing inside. So without further ado, let's get this table saw out and start cutting some MDF. Right, I've now cut out two pieces which will be the sides, those two. This piece will be the front. I've left it a bit long so it can be trimmed when we're ready. This one's going to be the base, again I've left it a bit long. And this long one is going to be the top around the curved piece and the back. So I've got an extra bit because usually on mine it's just not quite long enough, so I can add an extra bit at the end. All these are cut out of 12mm MDF, which is just something that I saved it, well, rescued it from a skip. So the next step is to draw a line on the top of one of the sides for the curve. Now I've done it on masking tape so that line shows out. What I'm going to do now is clamp those two together and clamp them to the bench and then cut them out with a jigsaw. So I'll get set up to do that now. Right, the next step is to put pieces F1, 2, 3 and 4 around the inside face of the sides. Now the measurements I've given you are just approximate. I've just ripped these out of some wood I had, but if you get something like inch by inch, it'll do fine. The best way to actually put them on though is to use a jig. I've knocked up a jig here. I did this on the first one that I made. Basically it's just a bit of scrap MDF, two pieces of 2x2, and then if you can see it on the video, just in there's a piece of the 10mm MDF that I make the post boxes out of, and those are lower than the pieces that you're going to be putting round as the framework. There's also some more of that 10mm MDF there, and these two are just to help keep that in position. and then once it's glued, that will be put in place and nailed down. So we'll get on and do that now. So just start by putting some glue. And then slotting that in place in the jig so it's right down to the bottom stop. Putting the side on, we need to make sure it's fully up to the 2x2s, and then you can just fasten it with a few nails. And then when we lift it out, you should now be able to see that we've got the 10mm gap that we need to for later on. So next we're going to put the bottom piece on. So again, we just put some glue on. Put that in here. Wrong way, wrong way. And then leaving a gap at this end, so then I should be able to, sorry, leaving a gap there, put this on this way, just put that piece of wood under to support it, and then pushing it right up as far as it will go, and then you can nail this on. Take that off, and there we have the bottom piece on. Clean up any glue. And then the next piece we can put F2 on. So again, put some glue on. Again, we'll put that in place in there. Then we can bring the side in on top, and we need to slide it down to make sure it's right in as far as it will go, which I think it is. Let's try it with that. Right down as far as it will go, and then we can nail this. Now you can see we've got 3 parts of the frame done. Again, we just wipe off that bit of excess glue. And then we need to do the final bit, which is going to go across there. The best way of doing that is in this position. Put that on. Just use a screwdriver to push it right up. There you go, that's up to it. Hold it in position. There we are. So my next step now is to do the same on the other side, which I'll do off camera, and then I'll come back and show you how to mark out this piece so you get it accurate for your cuttings. So I'll do this a little bit off camera and we'll be back shortly. Right, the next thing, now both sides are done, I'm going to show you how I'd get this bended part. I just make a template first with just an A4 sheet of paper. Make sure I flush it up against both sides, and then I just use my finger and rub along the edge of the wood, and you'll see that it gives you a mark. Once I've marked it, I just get a pair of scissors, cut along that mark, doesn't have to be perfect. I then put it back in place, and then I take a pencil, put it against the wood and hold my finger there on the side of the wood and try it there so they should be the same size, and then I just draw a line around. And then the next thing is just to cut that out. And then when you put it back, you should have the curve you want. The next thing is to take a piece of wood. This is just a scrap I've got lying about. It's not actually wide enough to do how I would normally do it. So I'm going to just start and draw around that. And put a mark where it wants a line drawing, if I can draw it. And then that is now ready for cutting out, and of course I can mark one on the other side. Now, as you can see, I'm going to cut these out on the bandsaw. Right, I've now got my piece cut. I've also just taken this corner off to reduce the amount of wood, and as you can see now it will go in there. As long as it's flush there and flush there, then we're okay. I actually cut it slightly smaller so that when I've got it all together I can use the router with the flush cut bit just to make sure it's perfect around this edge. So the next thing to do with this is to get some glue on it, clamp it in position, and then a few nails just to secure it. So that will go in there. Make sure those two corners are correct. Clean up the excess glue. And now that is the framework complete. Again, I've got the other side to do, which I'll do off camera, and then we'll come back and look at the next stage.